Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video. Hello fellow 8-bit heroes. Today we are going to be talking about the differences between Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 and the Frank Herbert novel, the source material, Dune. Now, to be clear from the outset, number one, my voice is a little messed up, but we're going to keep it going. Number two, this video will contain spoilers. So if you do not want to be spoiled either on the Dune novel or on the Dune film, then either watch, read, or do both and come back. And number three, this is in no way disparaging the movie. I enjoyed the movie. I want you guys to know that from the outset. However, being that I am a fan of the Dune novel, there are some things that are cause for concern that other fans of the novel might have seen as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is in no particular order of importance, but this is just what I saw or what I observed from watching the movie. So we have number 10. Number 10, completely ignoring the importance of mercenaries and mentats in the Dune universe. Now, mercenaries and mentats were basically almost throwaway in both movies. You really only get to see snippets and you don't really understand their value in the universe. Starting with mercenaries. The mercenaries are who basically picked up and saved Gurney Halleck after the fall of House Atreides. Mentats. Mentats are very important. They're actually one of the more powerful factions in Dune. Because as you know, if you've read the books, that these people under the Empire do not use artificial intelligence or robotics of any sort because of how they got into the position they are in, which is a long and drawn out conflict with artificial intelligence and robotics. So we have the Mentats. Now, whereas the Bene Gesserit are using basically telekinetic abilities and telepathic abilities, the Mentats have basically evolved their intelligence to be able to calculate vast equations in order to make predictions, not just when it comes to warfare, but also in armed conflict themselves. And this is demonstrated with different Mentats throughout the book series. And this will become apparent when I get to number 1. So, number 9. The suspicion of Gurney Halleck and Thufir Howt when it came to Lady Jessica. Now, being that Thufir Howt was the main mentat for House Atreides, in particular Duke Leto, and Gurney Halleck was Duke Atreides' most trusted advisor, they both suspected that Lady Jessica was the one, in fact, who plotted the demise of House Atreides and the death of their Duke. However, this is never mentioned, especially not in Dune Part 2, and it is actually a major story point. Number 8. The other great houses not submitting to Paul after the Padishah Emperor submits to Paul. So this is a big deal because the Padishah Emperor's word is law, basically. And the idea that after the successful campaign of Muad'Dib, aka Paul Atreides, against the Empire, after this had happened, that they would then somehow rebel against their new emperor is just silly and nonsensical. More importantly, that didn't happen in the books. At least not, it happened, but it didn't happen outwardly. They didn't pronounce that they were outwardly going to oppose Paul, because that would of course caused an entirely different war given the status of the Fremen and their superiority over the Sardar. Number 7, not mentioning the origin of the Sardar. Now this is big. This is big because the Sardar, this was basically an entire conspiracy involving the Emperor and how the Sardar are made. So basically the Sardar come from a prison planet in which they are beaten and abused and then drugged with the spice melange in order to make them basically make them more obedient and increase their deadly ferocity and their performance in battle. And Paul is one of the ones that figured this out, and thus was able to harness what Duke Leto called harness desert power, because the harsh conditions that the Sardar are undergoing under the prison planet are very similar to those of Arrakis, and thus Paul was able to create a large army out of the Fremen that were in fact better than the Sardar, mostly because they weren't basically obedient automatons like the Sardar were. Number 6, not showing the green paradise. Now, they talk about this in the abstract in the movie, but in the book, not only are we told about the green paradise, but Paul and his advisors and the Fremen are actually able to start cultivating parts of Arrakis and make it green and lush. And this is never shown in the movie, and thus giving the Fremen nothing to really hope for outside of empty promises that Paul promises them in the movie. Number 5. So Baron Harkonnen, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen is a terrible individual. He is responsible for the death of Duke Leto Atreides at the behest of the Emperor. However, he is also a, we have to say this for the sake of YouTube, a lover of the playground, if you will. This is known throughout the book series. He basically solicits various male underage sex workers, and he tortures and usually kills them for his own amusement. So this is a big deal in the book that is never mentioned in the movie. Number 4. Alia Atreides never being born and not dealing the killing blow to Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. This is a very important point in the book, because she is actually taken prisoner of her own volition by Vladimir Harkonnen for a reason that I will mention in number 3. Which brings us to number 3. Number 3, Paul's children. So Paul has various children in the story of Dune. Some of those children are inherited after he kills Jamis in combat. His son, he has an actual blood-related son with Chani, who is never mentioned in the movie at all. At all. And the death of this son is actually one of the reasons why Paul turns more ferocious in his guerrilla warfare against not only the Harkonnen and the Sardar, but also against the Emperor himself. And this is a huge point. This also is not mentioned because the romance between Chani and Paul is very understated in the movie. I'm guessing because they are really trying to big up the independence of Zendaya's interpretation of Chani, and because of this, we don't really, number one, we don't get to see the real Chani, but we also don't get to see the softer side of Paul Atreides. And so this was, to me, was a huge disservice to the film. Number 2, the pacing of the story. Now, the pacing of this story is rough. And the reason I say this is because the guerrilla war that Muad'Dib, aka Paul Atreides, wages with the Fremen against the Harkonnen lasts for a period of 3 years, which gives not only Lady Jessica the opportunity to have her baby, Paul's sister Alia, but also for Paul to have children, for his relationship with the Fremen to grow and change, and his relationship with Chani and their romance to grow and change and become more beautiful. But this doesn't happen because the movie is actually taking place within the period of about 6 months, which definitely takes away from the grandiose scope of the epic that is Dune. And number one, Thufir Howt never being reintroduced after the fall of House Atreides. Thufir Howt is seen in the first movie as Duke Leto Atreides' personal mentat, but he is never seen again. And what is crazy is that he's actually taken prisoner by Vladimir Harkonnen, who wants a mentat of his particular skill to serve House Harkonnen, and the reunion between Thufir Howt and Paul Atreides at the end is one of the most touching moments in the entire novel, and this opportunity was completely thrown away in the adaptation. So this was my list of the top 10 changes that I noticed between Dune Part 2 and the source material of the same name. So tell me what you guys thought about this. Did you notice anything else? Anything that you noticed, please put it in the comment section as far as differences between the source material and the film that came out. Let me know what you thought about it, whether you thought that what I mentioned was important, or whether you thought that it just wasn't a big deal. Sign off in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next one. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace. If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.